Arden, did you ever see us physically fighting in the home when you came in?
Not physically, no.
This man is not a lawyer. He is, in fact, the primary suspect in his ex-wife's disappearance and is now facing his own daughter in court. On March 11, 2017, 5 years prior, a Walgreens security camera captured Trevor Summers entering the store. He spent under a minute inside, leaving with cold medicine in hand. However, just before disappearing from the camera's view, he broke into a run through the parking lot. Shortly after, a Walgreens employee contacted the police.
Some chick just ran out of the dude's car screaming, "Help me!" And he just grabbed her and put her back in the car. He's falling out right now.
From a young age, Lauren displayed a remarkable talent and enthusiasm for sports. Her speed and agility amazed her parents, showcasing her natural abilities early on.
Okay, Art Landon, let's give you guys some information.
Months earlier, in 2016, 14-year-old Aiden Summers and her 4 younger siblings, Landon, Bryn, Grady, and Cooper, were caught in the midst of their parents' divorce. Their mother had left the marriage, secured a protective order against their father, and the children supported her, with Aiden even refusing to see her dad. However, when a judge dismissed the protective order due to insufficient evidence, the children were required to visit their father again. As Auden witnessed the judge and police siding with her dad, she began to grow closer to him, learning more about his side of the story.
He acted so heartbroken. He would constantly talk about how she was supposedly cheating on him.
He frequently told Auden that all the blame for their troubles lay with their mother, even suggesting that she posed a danger to Auden and her siblings. Despite his claims, he presented himself as a devoted father determined to protect his children. Over time, the kids began to align more with him, even when their mother sought another protective order. In response, he filed a counter order, accusing her of fabricating stories to have him imprisoned. The divorce had become acrimonious, but one day, Arden's father expressed a desire to reconcile with their mother.
He had mentioned before that he was really hoping to put the family back together and be almost like the savior of the family.
He had a plan to reconcile with their mother, and Aden, believing her dad was doing everything he could to help their family, was eager to assist. On the night of March 10, 2017, Aden stayed over at her mom's house with 2 of her younger siblings, Bryn and Grady. Meanwhile, she was in a group chat with her dad and her brother Landon, anxious about Elisa discovering Aden's texts. Her dad instructed her to save his number under the name Taylor and asked for updates throughout the night. He also told her to leave a window open for his entry. Later, after waiting for her mom and siblings to fall asleep, Aiden opened the window around 1 a.m. on March 11th and climbed out of the house. She passed her dad as he slipped inside while she went to the car where Landon was waiting. The plan was for Aiden and Landon to wait in the car while their dad spoke to their mother, after which he would drive them all back together.
We wanted to be able to have this happy family. I was really hoping that my family would be back together and healthy and fixed.
Aiden waited in the car with her brother as their dad sent multiple texts saying that the things were taking longer than he had anticipated. He claimed he was having trouble waking their mother. As time dragged on, Aiden grew increasingly anxious about her youngest brother, 3-year-old Cooper, who Trevor had left alone at his house. Her dad reassured her that he could see on a monitor that Cooper was still asleep, even after 4 a.m., and promised he would be done soon. However, around 5 in the morning, he changed the plan. He came out to the car and instructed 14-year-old Aiden to drive Landon, Bryn, and Grady to his house, about a 25-minute drive away. He needed more time to speak with their mother, and Cooper might wake up soon. Aiden complied, making sure everyone was buckled in before setting off without a driver's license. She drove as carefully as possible, determined to keep her siblings safe.
It was very terrifying. I was doing exactly the speed limit, and I just followed all the traffic laws to not get pulled over.
Around 6:15 a.m., the kids arrived at the house, and Aiden made breakfast for her siblings after Cooper had woken up. Exhausted from staying up all night, she fell asleep, hoping her parents would resolve their issues. When she awoke and they still hadn't returned, she texted her dad for an update. He assured her they would be back in about an hour. As the afternoon wore on and they were still absent, Aiden kept texting for updates. Her dad continued to reassure her that everything was going smoothly. Just after 8:30 that night, he texted to say he was on his way back with Elisa, ending with, "Love you." He mentioned that after taking care of the siblings all day and running on very little sleep, it seemed their family was finally going to be together again. But that was the last message she received from him. When a knock came at the door, it wasn't her parents. It was the police asking if the kids knew anything about their parents' whereabouts.
They were talking about how they're doing this investigation and trying to find my parents, and all I'm thinking is, oh my God, what happened?
Around 6:15 a.m., the kids arrived at the house, and Aiden made breakfast for her siblings after Cooper had woken up. Exhausted from staying up all night, she fell asleep, hoping her parents would resolve their issues. When she awoke and they still hadn't returned, she texted her dad for an update. He assured her they would be back in about an hour. As the afternoon wore on and they were still absent, Aiden kept texting for updates. Her dad continued to reassure her that everything was going smoothly. Just after 8:30 that night, he texted to say he was on his way back with Elisa, ending with, "Love you." He mentioned that after taking care of the siblings all day and running on very little sleep, it seemed their family was finally going to be together again. But that was the last message she received from him. When a knock came at the door, it wasn't her parents. It was the police asking if the kids knew anything about their parents' whereabouts.
Do you remember, Miss Brand, if I was yelling anything back at Mom?
No.
On the night their mother vanished, Bryn was at their mom's house with Aiden and Grady when their dad secretly entered. He had them leave shortly after his arrival, so they didn't witness much of what transpired. Trevor now uses their limited knowledge to undermine Elisa's account, implying their interaction was merely a casual conversation and asserting that he didn't harm her. He even suggests that the kids could have driven home without any adults, downplaying the situation as if it might have been an enjoyable adventure.
You remember, were you all scared or were you laughing, or how was your ride home?
It was very scary for Arden. She was crying the whole time.
That's all the questions I have for you. It's good to see you.
Trevor keeps a composed demeanor in the courtroom, smiling at his children while attempting to manipulate their accounts. Now 20 years old, Auden faces her father, who is trying to exert control over her once more.
As soon as I walked into the courtroom, he looked me right in the eye, and it was terrifying. And just to know that he used me to do what he wanted to do hurts more than anything.
Arden, did you ever see us physically fighting in the home when you came in?
Not physically, no.
The children didn't witness any violence that night, and Trevor uses this to suggest that Elisa might have consented to everything willingly. Now, Elisa must confront them directly once more to present her perspective and reveal the true nature of who Trevor really is. Elisa and Trevor first crossed paths in 1995. Trevor was kind and charming, and after they began dating in 2001, he continued to treat Elisa well. Their relationship blossomed into marriage, which started off smoothly, and they soon welcomed their first daughter.
When I had Arden, it was everything I envisioned for my life. The more kids, it seemed that the more love, the more happiness. I wanted to have this picture-perfect life.
Their family continued to grow with the addition of 4 more children: Landon, Bryn, Grady, and Cooper. However, as time passed, Trevor's behavior began to change. He became increasingly possessive of Elisa, controlling her every move.
I had to wear what he would select. I couldn't have men on my Facebook page. I was to have no communication with any men other than Trevor. He took my cell phone. He took my car. I was being held in my own home as like a...
Elisa knew she and her children had to escape, but Trevor lingered around the house for weeks, never leaving and keeping a close watch on her at all times. When he finally went to work, Elisa immediately contacted a domestic violence organization. She took the kids to a shelter for abused women and filed for divorce. Although they shared custody, she still had to see him and allow the kids to visit. In February 2017, Trevor invited Elisa to his house to sign the divorce paperwork with a notary present. Elisa hoped this meant they were finally moving on, and Trevor seemed to be accepting the end of their marriage. After the form was signed and the notary left, Trevor reportedly stopped Elisa before she could leave.
And then I said, I really have to get home to the children. And he said, I almost forgot I have something else for you. And he turned back and pushed me down onto the bed and pulled a knife out from between the mattress and the box spring. And he held a machete at my chest.
After hours of threatening her, he eventually let her go, but only after she promised not to involve the police. As soon as she was out of his sight, Elisa called 911.
The police didn't believe me. I wasn't left with any marks. There was no evidence of what I was saying.
It's not like we could have simply arrested him that day based on the statements of just the two that were involved. We needed more.
The police were unable to assist, and Elisa, along with her children, began to believe Trevor's claims that she was fabricating everything. Weeks later, Trevor sneaked into Elisa's house and attacked her. Now, she faces the daunting task of reliving that traumatic night in court and enduring questioning from the very man who assaulted her.
I have a lifetime protective order against him, and he's going to be right in front of me questioning me about the crimes that he committed against me.
Elisa takes the stand to recount the events of 5 years earlier. It's March 10th, 2017, and Elisa has spent a cozy evening watching movies with her 3 children, 14-year-old Arden, 7-year-old Bryn, and 5-year-old Grady. Amid the stress of the divorce and her ex-husband's attempts to turn the kids against her, she relishes this peaceful night with them. Bryn and Grady have fallen asleep beside her in her room, while Arden remains in the living room. In the middle of the night, Elisa is jolted awake by the sensation of cold water being poured over her head. Fear grips her as she sees a man's shadow looming over her. She desperately tries to find a way to escape with her children, but he blocks every possible exit.
I just start in full panic throwing things from my end table at him. And he grabbed my ankles and pulled me off the end of the bed. And he says, calm down, it's just me.
Elisa soon realizes that the man is her ex-husband. After 14-year-old Arden manages to get herself and the other kids safely back to his house, Elisa is left alone with him. The situation intensifies, and as Elisa recounts her story in court, she struggles to keep her emotions in check and calm her nerves.
He attacked me in that family room, and I fought to try to get out the front door. I tried kicking him, scratching, poking him in the eyes. Just every time I would get some distance from him, he would grab a hold of me and throw me over the couch.
She tries to reach for the phone, but Trevor grabs it from her before she can call 911. He threatens her with a razor blade, and he uses scarves, Christmas lights, and a nylon rope to tie her to the bed. Over the next several hours, he forces her to take cold medicine to keep her sedated in a twisted effort to get her to stop resisting him. Elisa struggles against her restraints as much as she can, but it's no use. Trevor claims this is his way of telling her goodbye before he leaves the country on a boat in the morning. Elisa doesn't know if he's telling the truth, but all she can do is count the minutes until the morning comes. However, around 10 a.m., he tells her he missed the boats and they won't run again until nighttime, so he will be there all day. Elisa's heart sinks as it becomes clear he doesn't have any plans to let her go. Throughout the following day, he rapes her multiple times. He goes to turn on the TV to muffle the noise, and around 5:40 p.m., he walks back into her room.
He put a pillow over my face, and he pushed down with all of his upper body. And I thought about my kids, and I lost consciousness.
Elisa's hope of survival is fading, but suddenly, in a moment of hesitation, Trevor stops pressing the pillow down. As soon as Elisa comes to, she knows it could be her only chance to stop him from killing her.
And he looked at me, and I said, please, I'll do anything. Please don't kill me. He says, you agree to go with me? I said, yes, I'll go with you.
This moment is one of the instances Trevor might use against Elisa in court, claiming that their encounters were consensual and that she willingly left with him rather than being kidnapped. However, the prosecution preempts his defense by questioning Elisa about the situation themselves.
So you had agreed to go with him. Why did you agree to go with him?
To stay alive.
On August 24th, 2022, the second day of the trial, Trevor cross-examined his ex-wife himself in front of an all-male jury. Elisa realizes that Trevor is using this trial to assert his control over her, seeking to break her down after delaying the proceedings and making her endure 5 years of suffering since the attack. His goal is to derive satisfaction from seeing the impact of his actions on her, hoping the jury might favor the calm, seemingly loving father. During his questioning, he focuses on that night and the motives behind his intrusion into her home.
In your statement, you said that the look on my face was of death or of murder.
Evil and hatred.
I'm sorry, no, I believe your statement was you knew I was going to kill you when you saw my face, correct?
Yes.
How did you know what was in my heart?
All I saw was an expression of evil and hatred, and at that time, my thought is, he's here to kill me. I'm gonna die.
After Elisa agreed to go with Trevor, he took her to the car and drove to a Walgreens to buy more cold medicine. Once they were away from her house, Elisa realized someone might notice her. When Trevor went into the store, she seized the opportunity. Despite having her hands tied behind her back, she managed to press the unlock button and open the car door. She ran through the parking lot, screaming for help. Before she could reach anyone, Trevor emerged from the store, grabbed her, and dragged her back to the car. Elisa was once again trapped. However, an observant employee had seen her and recorded the car's license plate, reporting it to the police. Unaware of this, Elisa faced Trevor's fury for disobeying him, and he punished her by cutting her wrist with a razor blade.
He's screaming at me. You agreed to go with me. Why are you doing this? He said that's for getting out of the car at the Walgreens.
He didn't seem to understand why she would try to escape, and he was on edge, more worried that people might be looking for them. He drove for hours, parking in the middle of a rural area without any people around. He sexually assaulted Elisa again, and they hid out, staying there until the morning of March 13th, 2 days after he attacked her. But even as time passed with no one finding her, the mother of 5 kept thinking of her loved ones.
As the hours ticked by, I just held on to that hope. I felt like everybody was looking for me and praying for me, and that just every hour got me through.
The woman informs police that Melvin, who had assumed a different identity once again, spent the evening with her. They met through an online dating app, and she had picked him up at the train station before they went out to dinner and spent time at her home. After Melvin took a shower at her place, he left around midnight. At 1 a.m., he is spotted by a police officer walking near 200 East and 500 South in downtown Salt Lake City.
He began slitting his throat and saying, "This is what love is. I'm laying my life down for you. You don't deserve this."
However, someone called the police after spotting the car they were searching for. Around 10:30 a.m., the police surrounded the vehicle with their guns drawn. They rescued Elisa and apprehended Trevor, bringing the search to an end 55 hours after he had attacked her in her home.
I wasn't expected to be found alive, but I was.
Elisa survived, but Trevor continued to exert his control during the trial. He questioned his ex-wife for over 4 hours, trying to wear her down and distort her account of the events.
In your testimony, you said that you were brought down this hallway,
Yes.
and you said that was by your ankles,
Yes.
and at the same time you were kicking
Yeah.
while you're being held by your ankles.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you notice any claw marks on the walls or any lines on the carpet, anything that would indicate that kind of a struggle?
No.
There was not broken glass or dents in walls. There was not scratches on countertops or blood splatter.
As Trevor attempts to cast doubt on every aspect of Elisa's testimony, she steadfastly refuses to back down. With each passing moment of questioning, she grows more confident, no longer allowing him to manipulate her narrative.
Did I threaten you or force you to have sex with me?
Yes, you forced me to have sex with you.
Did I hold you down?
You did hold me down. You did tie me up. You did attack me, and you did break into my home when I was sleeping. You raped me.
So you're calling it rape?
It is. That is the definition of rape. To come into someone's home and attack them and tie them up and then have sex with them. That is the definition of rape.
On the night of October 22nd, Lauren's parents receive a call from the university's track and field coach, delivering the heartbreaking news that no parent ever wants to hear.
I am here with Elisa at her house, where I'm not supposed to be. And I woke Elisa up, and I have been holding her against her will. I did tie her up to keep her from contacting the authorities and giving me enough time to get out of town.
Lauren's parents and friends are in disbelief, and the entire school community is stunned. In the days following her passing, the school holds a vigil to mourn the loss of Lauren.
I've spent a lot of time with Mom the last few hours. The things that she's told you about me being good at manipulation and control and lying is true.
Matt and Jill McCluskey are stunned by the campus police department's failure to address their daughter's repeated pleas for help. Their cries for assistance seem to have gone unheard. In response to widespread criticism, the university holds a controversial press conference where the president asserts that campus security could not have prevented Lauren's tragedy.
I'd actually had a machete in my bedroom, so I threatened her with it.
Outraged by the university's response and determined to prevent such a tragedy from happening again, Lauren's parents file a lawsuit against the institution. They believe the university...
I can end this right now, and grab the pillow and put it over her face. Well, I was just, pretending like I could suffocate her.
Matthew and Jill McCluskey established the Lauren McCluskey Foundation with the mission of advancing campus reform and improving student safety worldwide.
And it was just guilty all the way across. All 11 charges, guilty.
Ultimately, Trevor can no longer control the narrative. Elisa and her children are able to breathe a sigh of relief as the sentencing is handed down. Elisa delivers a statement detailing the profound impact this ordeal has had on her life over the past 5 years.
I wanted to roll in a ball and give up, but I couldn't give up. I had 5 traumatized children that needed me to be the strong one. I was able to sit in front of an all-male jury, knowing that real men would never tolerate you.
Elisa's daughter, Arden, also shares her feelings of guilt about going along with her father's plan, unaware of his true motives or the extent of his manipulation.
In 5.5 years, I have struggled with what happened to my family, especially for the part I took in it. I am 20 now, and while I have grown and overcome most of my demons, I still crave closure I've been waiting for. The closure that 14-year-old needs. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was a child when we broke all my trust, my hopes, and my dreams. Now I stand here today, stronger than I was before, ready for this sickening chapter to end.
The judge then takes a moment to address Arden, acknowledging the unimaginable ordeal she endured. She had to confront what no child should ever face, being deceived by her own father, the person she trusted most, who manipulated her into believing he was working to reunite their family.
To Arden, you should not feel guilty for anything that you did in this case. I assure you of that.
Arden begins to break down, tears streaming down her face as the judge speaks to her and urges her not to blame herself. Although she continues to grapple with the aftermath of the ordeal, the judge's words offer her some solace and help her begin to heal after years of suffering. Trevor Summers is sentenced to 3 life sentences plus 224 years in prison.
The testimony and evidence that I heard clearly make you a monster in every stretch of the imagination. Mr. Trevor Summers will spend the rest of his life in Florida State Prison.
In the years leading up to the attack, Trevor exploited his children's trust and managed to persuade both police and judges that he posed no threat. Now, with him sentenced to life in prison, the family can begin to rebuild their lives. Elisa has never held her children responsible for the ordeal, and their bond is stronger than ever.
My daughter is so sweet. Anyone that has met her knows she was used by a dangerous, dangerous man. It is not her fault.
Elisa aims to protect other children from similar experiences, and Arden admires her mother as a role model for her courage and strength. Elisa has also remarried, and together with her children, they now have the happy family life they had longed for.
I think Elisa knows as long as I'm around her, she's safe, and I will protect her and the kids with my life.
Today, Elisa dedicates herself to supporting others affected by domestic abuse. She is writing a book and speaks publicly to share her story, inspiring others to find the courage to speak out. Elisa also advocates for domestic violence shelters and Marsy's Law, which safeguards and enhances the rights of crime victims. Despite feeling isolated and receiving little help from the police until the unimaginable occurred, Elisa survived and confronted her captor, who represented himself in court. Now, she is determined to ensure he can never harm her or her family again.
My focus when that sentence came over were the kids, and my focus was moving forward with them. We've already come so far. We have the life more than I've ever envisioned us to have now. This is a happy ending. This is a happy story.
Thank you for watching today's episode. Elisa's story is a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience that can emerge from even the darkest situations. If you found this story as compelling as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on our latest true crime content. If you or someone you know is facing a similar situation, remember that help is available. Reach out to local domestic violence shelters or hotlines for support. Your safety and well-being matter. Share your thoughts and comments below. What did you think of Elisa's journey? And if there are any cases you'd like us to cover, let us know. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep seeking justice. We'll see you in the next video.